Hi, this is Randall with Carter Hill Honeybees. Today is Saturday, April the 3rd, 2021. I just done a video on how I do mite washes, and going into that colony, discovered it was literally about to swarm. I found probably 8 or 10 swarm cells, which I damaged most of them, taking it apart to get my sample. And that took a pretty good bit of time, so kind of changed my strategy now. I've decided I'm going to go ahead and shake my bees down, add my excluder, because they're not utilizing the brood nest very well. I'm going to go ahead and get them down there. The one that I did over there a week ago, it looked like it's responding very good. They're starting to fill the box up down there with eggs and larvae, so I wasn't sure when the time would be to do this, so I feel like the time is now, and I'm going to go ahead and do it. So now I'm fixing to show you how I'm going to do that. This is the strongest colony at this yard here. This is the one I did the video on back in late February, I believe it was, when I done the first inspection and evaluated it and added some pollen supplements. So this colony is doing very good. They just put on a lot of weight. The colonies at the other yards are bringing in a lot of nectar. They done got a fair amount of honey on them, so they're making very good progress. And this one has definitely put on some weight. I can tell by rocking it a little bit. So we're going to tear into this. I'm going to get a sample, do a mite wash on this, and get my queen excluder on there and get it ready for honey production, because it appears the nectar flow is starting to go pretty good here. The bees are staying up kind of high in this colony, and I can remember from that day the bees was kind of high up in this colony. Just look how the inner cover is covered with young bees. Yeah, see, I'm already into the brood, so I want to get this brood lower down. Let this emerge and let them backfill with nectar and honey. So once again, I want to get me about 300 nurse bees. Try to find some open brood or a frame with some pollen on it. And this one has some of both, so I think this is an ideal frame to shake. Right there is about the ideal amount of bees to do the mite wash. I'm going to take a moment and look for the queen. I don't see her. Looking very carefully for the queen. I don't see her, so I think we're good to get our sample here. Give it a couple of shakes up and down. Now we'll fill the test vessel up. I think that real light line is like right in there. I can't remember exactly, but I know if I fill it up that high, it'll be just right. I just screwed the foam off. Again, I'm just going to swirl this around, almost like making a tornado in a jar with water. If you've ever done that. I'm wanting the bees to kind of swirl over each other. That'll help dislodge the mites and make the test more accurate. I want to do this for 30 seconds and look. If you really want to be thorough, you can do this for a minute for each colony. I'm just going to wash this one unless I see a problem. Went ahead and done it for a full minute. I believe what I'm seeing there is pollen balls, but I'm going to verify that here in a moment. But I really don't see any mites. That's a light green color, but I believe this is just some small pollen balls, but I'm going to verify that here in just a second. But in either case, that colony is in very good shape, so that tells me that the oxalic acid treatment I done in late December, I believe, was very, very effective. So once again, I'm going to dump out my bees. Strain my water back in my container. It's important that you strain this. You get mites back in your water and you use it again, it's gonna make your test inaccurate. And again, I'm gonna make sure there's no mites or anything left in this test vessel. Put it back together. I'm gonna dump this and see what, and figure out exactly what that was. I'm pretty sure it's just balls of pollen. I think it's done dissolved. It didn't, nothing come out. Yeah, I can see it right there. So the mite count will be 0 on that colony. So I figure there's mites in there, and they're just very few, and that's very good. And I can tell that in the health of the colony. So that's the only colony I'm going to wash at this yard. That was the highest populated colony at the beginning of the spring management process. So it having the most brood would most likely have the highest mite count. Now, the reason I'm going to go ahead and wash them all, it's very time consuming to wash them all, as I found out last year. So I'm going to just spot wash probably the strongest colony or so at each yard. All right, I completed my mite wash. I had a 0 on the mite wash. I'm very pleased with that. A lot of brood right here, and I think this is causing me a problem with these colonies wanting to swarm. It's just the way the other one was too. Pretty sure this box is probably going to be fairly empty, so I'm going to get these bees down and force them to use that. A lot of pollen right there. I'm going to set that to the side. A lot of drone brood down here. Yeah, there's some pollen down here, but there's some drone brood, but they're pretty much moving up. So I need to reverse course a little bit. There's a few eggs here, but they definitely have moved up. There's actually a little bit of worker brood in here. So every one of them mediums right here has got brood in it, and plus there's some brood here. So this colony is tremendously strong. And these lower boxes down here, that seems to be where the field force is. The bees tend to be more aggressive down here in the bottom box. And I'm just being careful. I'm pretty sure there's not a swarm cell down here, but it could be. It can always be one way off to itself. And it only takes one to get to burn you. So I'm going to take an extra few minutes to make sure this is clear. If I was to happen to see the queen down here, it would save me a lot of time. I wouldn't have to shake all these down. But I would be surprised if she's down here. So now I've confirmed there's no swarm cells down here, so now I got to start putting all this back together and get my queen excluder up where I want. There's plenty of room down here for the brood nest to be down here, so I'm fixing to make them be down here. Alright, I found that one cat's queen cell, so now I've completed the search of the deep. There's nothing down there but a little bit of brood, a lot of drone brood and some pollen. Now I'm going to have to go through every one of these boxes and check for swarm cells. Yes, it's a lot of work, but the difference in honey production is worth it. Few cups there with nothing in it. And you may be wondering why I'm not going to take those swarm cells and make splits with them, which I could. I've chosen to, since I'm about to learn to rear queens on my own, I kind of want to select my own colonies that I want to rear queens from. And plus I'm damaging several of these as I'm doing this as well. But I want to raise my own queens and learn to do it that way. I've done this in the past, finding swarm cells and splitting, and it works good. But this year I want to do it different. I want to learn to raise my own queens and have control over, or more control over, my genetics. Alright, I've successfully completed shaking down all the bees and removing all the swarm cells. So I've got my queen excluder placed. And I'm going to give them some room here to dump some nectar and pollen as it comes in. I'm going to put 2 fully drawn mediums right over the top of the excluder. So I placed 2 empty mediums on top of the excluder. I've got all the bees shook down underneath, which means the queen should be underneath the excluder. So now we just simply got to put our mediums back up top. When all this brood emerges along with the 2 empty mediums down there, they're going to have plenty of room to dump the nectar and pollen. So that's completed my rearrangement and shakedown. Now in years past, I would come along about a week ago and rotate my pollen box down. But now I'm seeing that actually my brood nest is moving up high, and that's been a problem for me, especially at harvest time. So now I've shook all the bees down underneath the excluder, added the excluder, and these 4, I added 2 empty mediums here, but these 3 boxes here and this one here have a lot of brood in them. So there's going to be ample room for the bees to store their nectar as they come in. And this is pretty much the technique I'm going to do throughout the rest of my honey production yards. Each one will be a little bit different as needed probably. Most of them not going to be at this point where this one was probably fixing to swarm, so I just got lucky and stopped 2 colonies from swarming, hopefully. I'll probably come back in about a week, 10 days to recheck this one and that other one to verify, but I feel pretty good about it. Well, thank you for joining me for this video today, and we'll see you next time.